Let's go live to Sky News contributor Kosha Gada. Kosha, great to see you. One by one, as Mark Stone says there, one by one, the cases against Donald Trump fall away. Interestingly as well, though, what fell away was the legal threat to Hunter Biden this week.
Yes, indeed. So there were those 4 cases, and they have fallen away. I would say they have crumbled in spectacular fashion, either because of the law and things went up to the Supreme Court and were found to be illegal, or in the case of the Georgia prosecution, the prosecutor had a conflict of interest and other problems as well. This New York case is the last one that's pending. The judge has delayed sentencing repeatedly, so that's why he's technically not actually a convicted felon, Trump, because he hasn't been sentenced yet. And the team was always planning to file for dismissal, and as Mark Stone over there mentioned, this thing that they referenced with the pardon from the president for Hunter Biden just adds another layer to it. It's not the legal theory for why they're filing for dismissal, but it just lays bare this 2-tiered justice system or double standard that everybody can see, where a misdemeanor bookkeeping error has been stretched into 34 felony counts, and on the other side, Hunter Biden is a hot mess, and everybody can see that double standard.
And what does it mean for the Biden legacy, do you think? Does it tarnish it, the fact that this 11th hour pardon's been granted?
Probably. I think that's what a lot of historians have been talking about in the last 24 hours, and we'll see the way people frame the entire legacy of Joe Biden, because he's been in politics for half a century, the better part of half a century. He tried to run for president 3 times, didn't succeed, did come in, defeated Donald Trump. As you know, that there's been a cloud over that election, and many people, did not believe or think that the election was conducted fairly. Notwithstanding that, he did win. And then he ran, as we all know, a bit too far, too long, given his cognitive decline, stepped out at the last minute, and then does this. So I think in terms of governance, while there are things like the Afghanistan withdrawal and others, I think all of that will be forgotten. And it's these sorts of decisions of sticking around for too long and pardoning Hunter Biden at the last minute, I think for sure are going to be how history books are going to remember him.
Kosha, what's your assessment of where the Trump cabinet is at the moment in terms of how it's coming together, where the question marks remain, given the need for Senate approval?
Yeah, so he has finished making all of his picks, President Trump, and that is record speed, where he had privately funded his transition team apparently 6 months before the election to make sure that he is ready to hit the ground running. Now it's just awaiting the Senate confirmation process. There have been a couple of withdrawals. The DEA candidate actually just withdrew today on his own accord because of some positions he took during the COVID lockdowns. And of course, Matt Gaetz withdrew for Attorney General, and Pam Bondi came in. Of the ones remaining, they're the controversial 4, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., and Kash Patel for FBI, who just came out a couple of days ago as the pick. Those 4 are the ones where maybe there's a little bit more hoops for them to jump through, because some of them are mired with personal issues, or they break the mold, they've got enemies even within their own party. But if those 4 go through, coupled with the others, this is shaping up to be a very different cabinet. Lots of reformers, young people, lots of them in their 40s and 50s. They're here to kind of take down some of these institutions rather than protect them. And they're also all made for television. They all have sort of a TV media background, which is something that Trump prizes a lot because they're great communicators. So it'll be an interesting ride for sure.
Yes, well, it's been an interesting ride already, but one of the key differences, well, there's a couple. One is that speed with which the appointments have been made, as you alluded to, and the other, again, as you've touched on, is that there are no, well, maybe Rubio you could say is an establishment figure, but other than that, there aren't any.
Yeah, it's sort of like a panoply where there's Rubio and, maybe Doug Burgum for energy, because he was a governor, and a couple others. Pam Bondi, she's sort of, I would say, in the middle. So there are a couple, but yes, you're absolutely right that in general, I feel like he's doing that to give a little bit something for everybody, so that there's a little bit for the establishment types to feel happy about. There's certainly quite a bit for the red meat MAGA base to feel happy about. And I think the other thing, too, is it'll be tough for the Senate, the Republican majority Senate, to not confirm multiple people, maybe 1, maybe 2, but it's very hard for them to, reject 4, 5, 6, and I think that's part of Trump's strategy with these picks.
And finally, the message to the terrorist group Hamas that those hostages better be released by January 20, or there will be hell to pay. What do you make of that warning from Donald Trump?
You know, it is classic Trump. He is not shy about hyperbole and strong, unequivocal wording, and it's just such a reminder of that versus Biden's approach and what it's been. Now, those are words. It remains to be seen what he would do militarily. But we've seen that before, where he, sent those huge missiles into Syria while he was dining with President Xi of China and having chocolate cake at the same time. That was a famous memory from the first term. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did something like that just to get the hostages back, because as controversial as this war has now become in terms of how everybody in the electorate sees it, and there are different angles to it for sure, getting the hostages out is something that everybody agrees with, and I would see that as being an easy win if he's able to pull it off either through rhetoric, the art of rhetoric, or actual military action in some way.
Yes, indeed. Kosha, great to get your insights as always. Thanks.
Pleasure.